Doublelift has been touted as the best NA AD carry for the majority of his career ever since the LCS came to fruition. But I mean, internationally, he has been a different animal. And a guy who has been around almost as long as him in the NALCS, missed just one split. His team's gotten out of groups 4 out of 5 years. That guy is the meme lord himself, Sneaky. Is he actually the best NA AD carry? You've seen this topic around. Guys are kind of discussing it, of course, now that Doublelift is at a low point and Sneaky is moving on to groups. Obviously, it's a little tilted one way because of the recency bias, but there could be definitely be a case made.
You can definitely make a case. I think domestically, you still got to side with Doublelift. I mean, no matter what you say. He's won 3, Sneaky's won 2 NALCS titles. So I do think that goes to Doublelift with his whole lane dominance year after year when he's played with guys like Afromoo. He's played with now Biofrost. And he's been pretty much year after year one of the best laning AD carries in North America. I don't think that can be disputed. And mechanically, with his outplay potential, I mean, he used to have comps built around him back in the days of old CLG. Put the Orianna ball on me and I'll just carry these games, no problem. So I do think that historically in domestic, just North America, Doublelift is the best. But when you take it to the next level, internationally, I mean, Cloud9, year after year, they're the one team that can actually perform on an international stage. And I think part of that is the mentality. And Sneaky has that, I'm not going to tilt no matter what mentality. In that game against EDG, you saw, I mean, I'd get pretty tilted going into these next games after getting Jarvan and Galio over and over. But time after time, Sneaky's just like, next game. And I think the whole we can just win the next game mentality goes such a long way on an international tournament where you only get to play 6 games in a group stage.
Yeah, and I think even within one game, you see that same mentality in the play-ins and some of these group stages. Sneaky would start games 0-4, 0-5, just getting incredibly camped by the opposing team. And as the game progresses, he just sits there, okay, I'll get my farm. And then eventually there'll be some team fights that he can still carry on these hyper carries, even though he's so far behind. So, I mean, I think a guy like Doublelift, when you get that far behind, he's done for that game. Maybe he rebounds in the next game, but he is mentally checked out for that game. And that just doesn't happen to a guy like Sneaky. And you've seen some of his performances internationally. I mean, there were games against Samsung Blue where, I mean, that Lucian game in particular, he completely popped off. That was the game C9 actually dominated them. He was on the Lucian. He went like 12-0 or something, 14-0. It was something absurd. And pretty much throughout that whole series, he was pretty fantastic. And C9 was, it only went to 4 games, but I mean, C9 almost won that 4th game. And a lot of that was because of how well Sneaky has played. There's a few different examples you can point to against truly world-class competition where Sneaky has not only, you know, kept up with, but almost outplayed some of these other bottom lanes, these other AD carries. So internationally, it definitely goes to Sneaky. I think the main thing is he's more of the consistent guy. Maybe it's the typical, his highs aren't as high, his lows aren't as low. He's a steady guy in the middle, whereas Doublelift, yeah, he can have games where he completely dominates. But even then, he hasn't really done that internationally. So if you're incorporating it all, I think you might have to start giving that edge to Sneaky.
Yeah, I mean, in the past too, you've seen all these players from other regions be like, man, I want to go up against Doublelift to see what he has. Everyone recognizes he's got the talent. And Sneaky's kind of swept aside because Doublelift is a guy that demands all the attention. But it really is Sneaky who's a consistent figure when it comes to actually performing internationally. He's on such a higher level than Doublelift. And you can say, yeah, but C9 just has better teams than TSM. Not this year. That is not the case this year.
The last 2 years.
That's what, exactly. Yet it's still C9, and that's their better mental state that's carried them forward. And that includes Sneaky.
And yeah, I mean, C9, ever since they came into the LCS, has been at the top of the league, and they've only got one guy from that original roster, and that is Sneaky. And he's basically, his first split, he was looked at as he's getting carried by Cloud9, blah, blah, blah. He just plays Ashe every game and whatever. And then basically after that split, they were like, oh, wow, this guy's actually really good. And ever since then, he's been like one of the key guys on that team. So, we'll see. Yeah. Doublelift still got to redeem himself internationally. We'll see if he does. We'll see if he's coming back next year even.
For Worlds, that's another full year.